to this edition of Rod Shop Lockdown. Before we get started on anything, go like or subscribe wherever the button is on this thing. Go click that button and join the fun for Rod Shop Lockdown, and then you'll know exactly when the next episode's coming and who we actually have lined up. But first, we need to start off by paying the bills. Sponsor for this episode is Motor. Now, if you don't know Motor, then you probably just don't know. You're not a proper car guy. Motor's a product that's been in the market for 160 years. They do everything, all types of performance oils, cars, classics, everything. Go check out their range. It's absolutely enormous. They've got a great thing going at the moment called Know Your Oil. So it's questions that comes out every day, and they keep you really informed on how their product works and what works best for your car, classic, hot rod, or whatever that is. They also have a few videos that's coming out, which is done by Taki, who is the technical manager for Motor South Africa. It's quite informative and gives you a lot of background behind the product and how their product works. So go check out their videos, go check out their page. I'll put a link on at the bottom and really don't miss it. Our next sponsor for today is Rockford Fosgate. Now, SA Hot Rods and Rockford Fosgate are joining up, and we are doing a new project during lockdown, which will probably launch in this week or towards next week. We're just busy pulling all the last strings and stuff together. So watch this space. As for all of that, listen, enjoy the show. We've got Mike from SupaDrift on the show today. It was a great conversation. Enjoy. Right, we are live with Mikey. Mikey, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, Joe. Thanks a lot for inviting me onto your show. I'm pretty excited for where this can go.
I know we're all sitting at home, so how you handle this whole lockdown thing?
Well, I see crisis as an opportunity, and for me, it's been actually a great time to reflect, a great time to consolidate my efforts. It's a great catch-up time to be with the family. We do a lot of traveling during the year on a schedule in a normal year, I'd say so. So our weekends are pretty full, so if we're not doing demos or drifting, or we're definitely doing something with regards the motorsport and et cetera. So it's for me, it's been amazing. Get to read, get to do some online courses, get to do some gardening I never do. So believe it or not, I've got some mechanic hands and some green fingers.
Listen, I broke my backyard up into sections because I'm trying to weed it. But
nice.
it's just I hate it so much. I can't say gardening.
When I say gardening, I talk about mowing the lawn. It's about mowing the lawn is amazing. It's amazing. It brings you so much peace and tranquility. Actually, cuts out the world. Cuts out the world.
Exactly. Before we find out about SupaDrift, I wanted to talk to you and find out your background. I mean, the world was a quiet and smokeless place, and then all of a sudden you and Jim appeared, and there was this SupaDrift and all these events and tire smoking and drifting and stuff. What's your background? Where did everything actually start?
So Jim and I met possibly 21 years ago, actually. So it's been quite a time together. We met at a rugby festival, believe it or not. And anyway, we had a chat about where sports marketing is in the country, where it's going, and we just thought action sports was a great way to start a little business and to get involved in a niche market somewhere and where people hadn't gone yet, and because X Games was blowing up in the US, this could be an opportunity for us. So we just got involved in kind of BMXing, skateboarding. Freestyle motocross was a big one back in the day. That's kind of started us and springboarded us into the X Games. Then along the way, we made contact with ESPN, brought the guys out to South Africa. They said, "Oh, we like South Africa. We want to come here." We couldn't really raise sponsorship for such a mega event at that time because action sports were kind of not known, However, the season in Europe, kind of frowned upon. It was anti-establishment, the whole toot. And Then we got invited to Dubai. They saw a work ethic there. We worked for them and under ESPN, and then started, I think we did 4 years where we ran their main sponsors kind of profile during the X Games in Dubai and the UAE, which was Pepsi, Mountain Dew. And this just one day gave us an opportunity to fly to the US and go watch Summer X. And while we were watching Summer X, amazingly, we had this great time there. We were VIP guests. One of the commentators said, listen, I'm going to Las Vegas. I'm going to watch this drift event. I'm actually going to commentate. So the car said, do you guys want to go with? So obviously, Jim and I looked at each other. We heard the magic word Vegas, and we were on the next bus to Vegas. So it was a great opportunity to go see what this drifting motorsport was about. So we went to Las Vegas. We watched the Formula Drift event there. Great event. A guy you may know very well, Tanner Fast, one of the Top Gear presenters in the US. He won the event, actually. And on the basis of that, we got back to South Africa. We knew he drove a Nissan 350Z, and we just were like, this was our car. You know, we're going to buy this car and we're going to build it up and see if we can establish the motorsport of drifting in South Africa. Kind of unbeknown to us, at the same time, drifting was already here. You know, they had the Rock Raceway going, guys like Otto Graven and Jonathan Rudman, Rudy van den Berg back in the day. These are the pioneers of drifting in South Africa. We didn't know about these guys anyway. So we just thought, look, we've got these cars. Let's just get to motor shows. Let's just advertise drifting and start somewhere and see how big it can go, you know. And that's how it started. We'd actually succumb to getting motor shows on our books, and then we'd go and do drift demos, and then we charge people to climb into the cars and get an experience behind them. And this was the start of drifting, and then of our business within the drifting market, rather. And we went to a lot of events at the Rock. They were really popular in those days. I mean, they were doing 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people, maybe even more at some stage. I mean, you would literally park 1.5 kilometers away from the actual raceway and have to walk there. It was insane, the number of people going there. So drifting had been established, and we were just kind of leveraging off of that, you know. And the motor shows led to one thing, and then some of the drivers said to us, would you guys not consider doing events? You've done X Games Dubai for 4 years. You've run big international events. Would you guys not consider looking at an event model? And we said it wasn't really what we wanted to do because there was already someone doing it. But I thought, let's just go ahead and try one event. One of the sponsors, Auto Trader, back in the day said, let's do our own thing. So they wanted something that they could own. So we did the one event actually at Swartkops Raceway. And they said, oh, that was so successful. Let's try another one at Kyalami. So we did another event at Kyalami. This was 11 years ago now. And that just led into a series over time. And that's where the SupaDrift series was birthed. You know, the following season, I think we ran 8 to 10 events at Swartkops Raceway, one a month basically. And guys would drive up from all over the country to come and compete. And it was really successful. It was a good platform for our sponsors. You know, it was going somewhere. It blew up quite quickly. And since then we've just kind of, you know, keep up with the world. It's a bit difficult in our economy to maintain world standards with drifting. So we've jumped 2 steps forward, come 1 step back, that type of thing along the way. But we've been around for, the series is 11 years old this year. So yeah, it's been an amazing trip, amazing family. The drift family and community is an amazing community. Guys have come and guys have gone, and new people come in all the time. You know, it's an evolution. The sport changes all the time. So yeah, I think we're in for some challenging times ahead, but as of where we're at right now, we've had a great run and we've really enjoyed doing what we do.
When you say it's evolved, how have you seen that it's evolved over the time period? Is it just the skill level or?
Certainly. So I think back in the day, on 2 levels. One was kind of the car you drove, where it started. You know, you could build a drift car for 60,000, 70,000 rand. You know, if you're going to be competitive in today's drift world, 10 years later, you're looking at spending anywhere between 500 and 700,000 rand. That's just to get your drift car established. So there's the evolution in the financial kind of capital you're going to put into your motor vehicle. The skill level wasn't too bad, but I think as competition grew and as the numbers turned out to the competition, the skill level was bolstered. And obviously watching videos and having things like social media and that type of thing, you're watching these guys, what they're doing overseas. So as the cars have evolved, so has the skill evolved in South Africa. I'd say our guys are really skillful. I think the only challenge we have in South Africa at the moment is access to what the world has access to in terms of engine parts. You'll know about these things. And then also, you know, the cost involved. It's not cheap.
Well, I think the other thing is I mean, we had Jason on the show on last week Friday. Is seat time. There's not enough tracks. There's no tracks, guys. I mean, like even Jason was saying, the only time they get to practice is at the event. You know, unless look, it's motorsport in general is, and I think that's what people keep forgetting. Motorsport is not cheap. I mean, and if you add in the cost with drifting, the traveling, the tires. I mean, Jason was telling us the amount of 30 tires through a weekend. The costs and stuff that's going into it. It's not a cheap sport. You know, it's not a weekend stock car type of scenario, type of money. I mean, I'm not knocking the stock cars. We know that their numbers can go up very quickly as well. But look, it's not a cheap sport.
Motorsport, you must remember, Joe, motorsport's an absolute privilege.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's the same as education. It's an absolute privilege.
My wife's got horses. I know all about.
Okay. So we are in an incredible position. We're still able to even drive cars in South Africa, and it is a privilege for us. It's an absolute opportunity for young people to aspire to something, and that's what we've always built it around. You know, we've always made the SupaDrift a platform where people can appreciate and show off their skill. And even though it might be the only time you climb into your car to train, to practice, and that type of thing, it's a perfect opportunity to integrate with public, to sell your sport, to be a role model for young people. And like I say, it is for an elite kind of market, and that's the unfortunate side. And in saying that, it doesn't mean you have to have R500,000 in your back pocket before you start drifting. Where we started, man, we had standard vehicles. Those standard vehicles over time, we've built them up into what they are today. You know, and they're still not on a global level in terms of what they're pushing out. You know, I'd say we've got 4 or 5 cars within a series of about 30 cars, 40 cars that are actually on a global standard, and those drivers can compete with international guys. So, you know, you got to see where you're at in terms of where South Africa's at, and I think this is just an amazing sport. It's a showcase for motorsport. That's what it is. It's a spearhead. Yeah.
Have you guys got a project going on for getting guys into the industry and starting out?
We've had a few projects where we've got local drivers, you know, involved. I think it's just difficult for anyone in our position because it's very difficult to invest in, number one, a series, number two, your own race team and your responsibility towards your own sponsors, and then obviously cross the board a boundary and go and invest in other young drivers. So what we do is we kind of do it in a small way. So we'll donate tires, we'll donate our pit crew to guys who are coming into the sport, and we'll try to teach them. But we'll say to those guys who are coming into the sport and who are kind of at the grassroots level that you must start somewhere. You know, if it is a privilege, you've got to start somewhere. We can't buy your car for you. And we have in the past invested in people where we have bought their cars and we have trained them up and that type of thing. And those guys are still drifting. So there are those opportunities, but it's not something we can throw, you know, like
Oh,
have a
massive
proper.
amount of funds and stuff too.
No,
Obviously.
no, there's no money in it. You know, this is actually the gratification. We used to have prize money back in the day when we started, to give you an example, and incentive money to give guys to travel to the events. But over time, sponsorships come down. You know, your financial contribution from sponsors is not what it used to be in the old days.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why are we in? I mean, because it's not just drifting. It's basically everything. Any motorsport in South Africa. I mean, why are we struggling so much with sponsorship for motoring?
I think it's there's a number of factors involved here. The biggest factor would be the kind of exposure for it. Locally and internationally. So, you know, anywhere else in the world, you're producing content, you're filming your show, you've got broadcasters who are paying you money to have that content. In South Africa, it's working differently. We pay to put our stuff online or publish it with major broadcasters, which is actually crazy. So there's a massive amount of money that goes into those things, you know, and that's kind of where it is. It's not easy for a promoter to put his motorsport mainline on mainline TV. You know, when those TV channels are occupied by sports like rugby, cricket, soccer, and I think the kind of BEE component to it makes it really tough for us as well. You know. In saying that as a sport in general, and I don't want to talk out of term here, I'm just saying it really is tough that we don't have enough color representation in our sports. And I think that's kind of why we're not seeing the big money like those other sports are. But I can tell you this, I've got a lot of friends in sports marketing businesses, mainline sports, rugby, cricket, soccer, swimming, netball. Those sports are in the same position. They're all really on an all-time low in terms of investment. They're not where they used to be.
Spectatorship still growing on the sport. Where is that sitting?
No, I think it's not growing at the moment. I think there's a perfectly good answer for it. I think with the onset and advent of internet and live stream, you know, we'd live stream all our events. So we'd find 5, 6, 7, 800. Sometimes our live stream would get up to 18,000 people, you know, when we put it on certain URLs and certain broadcasters globally, which was amazing actually for local content. But because of those things, people are not, and it's free, you know, people are not coming down to the races themselves. So that could be one definite reason. I think also disposable income is at an all-time low at the moment. So people are watching what they spend, how they spend it. And entertainment, you'll see now with COVID, you'll see entertainment takes a back seat. You know, the first things to get cut in your budget is your entertainment budget, number one. You know, that's just an example. So all these factors together relating to one event and proposition doesn't do well for the gate at an actual event, live event. So we've had to kind of come up with new ways and reinvent ourselves to make it a value proposition for people, that the live event is actually better than the live stream.
That leads me to the next section of where we're going is what's on the cards. I mean, you guys have, you postponed the series. So the new series is going to start. There's new cars coming in. There's new fire behind the drivers. We've gone through the depressing stuff. Let's move on to the positive. And shit's going to happen.
Look, yes. So, you know, we've gone 11 years doing this. We love doing it. It's been our passion. And the only reason we've ever continued with SupaDrift is because we are passionate people about what we do. So the future for drifting is simple in my eyes. I think we need a little bit more international exposure. The SupaDrift series has kind of condensed and consolidated itself this year. I think we were just pushing towards something we couldn't afford anymore in 7, 8 stop series, you know, and for that matter of fact, even a 6 stop series. So what we've done this year is we've kind of consolidated our efforts. We've gone to a 3 stop mini series, of which there will be other events to bolster up the series at the same time. So there is talk of 2 international events. So we've got 3 stops planned for South Africa. So we're looking at places at the moment. We've consolidated our first place, obviously Desi Raceway. We'll go there every year. We love that raceway. Des built that for drifting. The second stop was going to be in East London and or PE, and then the third stop was Carnival City. So I think with COVID now, it's thrown everything up in the air, to be very honest with you, and we don't know what the outcome or status of eventing is going to be. We have to wait for that from our government, and we have to be subservient of what the government are saying, because if they're saying you can't have more than 1,000 people at your event for a period of 6 months, it's going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons for eventing market in general. We'd like to believe there'll be a boom after the break and everyone will want to get out and go watch live events, which would be amazing.
That's what I keep thinking as well.
Yeah. And if we can get that right, that'll be amazing. So we have the 3 local events planned. There's an international event that's coming to South Africa, or was coming to South Africa. We're not sure where it is at the moment. That's for this year. Already, and then there's obviously the Mozambique event, which is a event we run every year over the border in Mozambique, which is run by a guy called Zanil Zatar, and he does an amazing job there. It's just a great event. There, I think crowds exceed 7,000-8,000 people. It's been really good.
So is that? I mean, that's almost doing better than the local ones, isn't it?
Yeah, the local ones. Remember, the local ones are watered down. They're also in areas that don't always draw big crowds, so like a Desi Raceway, the local market is really small. I think at Desi we're getting about 1,500 people to the raceway, to 2,000 people, which isn't a bad figure. Going up to Carnival City, getting a little bit more, 3,000 to 5,000 people. Also, we ran Gymkhana Grid there, so it's left a bit of an undertone of goodwill among spectators, that they're going to get value for their money in terms of what the content they're going to see and the show they're going to see. And then, we were thinking East London's got amazing racetrack down there, or PE. PE's always got a great crowd response and reaction to drifting. So we'd love to go back to PE as well. So we're working on 2 big possibilities down there. But I say those kind of the PE events, I'd say, is up in the air at the moment. So is where events in general are up in the air, not knowing the outcome of COVID. So we're just waiting to get back to work kind of thing, and see what our government's going to say about mass gatherings.
That's the biggest thing that everyone's worried about at the moment. And look, I agree with you. We know that the web thing, it makes it easier because you can watch it from home, but man, it doesn't compete with that smell and sound of being at the event. I mean, that's
always been our number one marketing tool. Like, until you've had that sensory overload, the V8 engines, the screaming turbos, the smell of smoke, burning
my hair
rubber,
standing up at the moment thinking about it.
Yeah, that kind of thing is it's such an important marketing tool for drifting. That experience that you have, of course, you can't get the same thrill and the same excitement level online as you would down at the actual show. We've actually decided this year that we were going to cut live stream completely, and we were going to do a lot of social kind of content, producing content live, but it wouldn't be the full picture. So we're trying to change the model up so to get more people to the raceway this year. So if you're going to watch SupaDrift, you're not going to get the full picture, as in it's going to be live all the time. What you're going to do is you're going to get streams and snippets of content coming through on different media platforms all the time. Also, we see a lot more value. I'll give you one quick example. We'll do 4,000 or 5,000 people watching live stream, but we'll cut it up and break it up. So a guy gets close to wall, does a wall ride in his car, a great tandem, where the guys are bumping in the tandems and that type of thing. And we'll just cut those little videos into little sections, 30-second videos, post that up on social media. Those are getting 50, 60, 70,000 in 48 hours views, as opposed to this long drawn out event that's live. So we see more value for our sponsors actually breaking up the content into little bits and distributing it through our platforms and various other platforms, our partner platforms as well. And their value is heightened, and it's got more return ROI for them, sponsorship is it's such a tough thing. We don't even call it sponsorship anymore. Where we are, we call it partnership. We're partners. I'm a business partner, So my goal is to build brand affinity for you. And I'm using motorsport, specifically drifting, to do that. So that's where we come along, and we don't package it as in a one lane value proposition. We package it in the highway. There's 8 lanes to this highway. One is social media, one is live stream or broken content, drip content. We call it drip content where we come from. One is the TV afterwards, the Ignition TV profile we're offering you. One is the motor shows after that. We do a lot of demos, Jim and I, at motor shows. There's a lot of value in that, Yeah. We also got a motorsports events as well. So we break our value proposition into the different lanes, and then we put that together. So you're not just getting one-sided affair. This is a whole proposition. This is radio, TV, internet, social media. This is everything packaged for you, So it's a solution for you, and this is how we build brand affinity. And with our great sponsors, Container World, with Dragon, we've managed to to build their brands, and we've got such a good rapport and understanding and partnership with them that we're building each other's businesses together all the time. So even on our break now, our social media aspect and our digital media agencies running all of those things, so they're still getting value for their money even on the lockdown. They've got daily posts. There's a lot happening all the time, so they can see their brand is growing through the sport. But like you say, Motul, great partner of ours. We've got Gondolier. They own Jonesway and Gloss. Gloss G3 Pro is like a detailing product, and Jonesway tools are amazing. And then we've got newcomers like CRB partners. They do the DeVault tools. Great company to great company.
I know Zane
to be involved in. Yeah, so Zane's amazing. He's just been so good on the pickup with us. He trusts us, and we've done a pretty good job for him as well. So, we've really retained our partners for long periods of time, and through hard times, through 2008 depression, we've maintained our partnership with our partners, and we continue to build value for them. And if we can keep that going, it will be good for us. So we're not getting millions of rands to spend out of their budget, but anything right now is better than nothing. And we believe that we can help them get their brands to where they want their brands and turn business for them. I mean, people who understand what you're trying to achieve, and I think if you can just translate that message to them in a way that they don't perceive they're losing anything from it, but they're actually gaining something from it, is the benefit to them. But a lot of guys in drifting are sponsored now, and some of them are not, but you can't go along there and just expect sponsors to arrive at your doorstep because you podiumed in an event. That's America. This isn't America, This is South Africa. It means you've got to go out there with your rap sheet and go, hey, knock on one door. This is me. All I want from you is a partnership. So Motul, when we started with Motul, we were just like, just give us your product. And that product's world-class products, one of the oldest oil lubrication companies in the world at the moment. I think it's the oldest.
167 years or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Give me your product. And that's led to other things, and they're great partners to have. Dragon as well. We do so much with Dragon. We make Dragon movies and videos all the time now, and that's kind of
that's
part of our profile and mandate. We're making these movies to build their brand and help them with their marketing processes. That's what Red Bull did back in the day. That's what Monster Energy have done through the ages. And now we're with this great energy drink brand, which is just an amazing brand. The people amazing to work with. They've got such global vision for this brand, and we're so excited to partner them.
Okay, you guys are sitting the same as we are. We're waiting to find out what happens after the other 21 days.
Yeah, I think, Joe, we must all be flexible. That's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen. And I'm flexible to say, listen, we've still got our partners on board. We're going to do whatever it takes to keep them happy. If we need to run those events, we're going to run those events. I don't know if those events are going to go from 3 events to 2 events or what's going to happen essentially. But I think we always, our minds in the game all the time to say, how can we still keep drifting alive? How can we still keep drifting growing? You know, like you say, new cars, newcomers to the market this year. The guys are amped. The cars are insane this year. I'm blown away by what's coming to SupaDrift this year, you know.
Yeah,
And
you're going to have to raise your
and,
game this year, bro.
you know what? I must be honest with you. I love driving. I love drifting. I drift. It's just my personal escape. It's like possibly when you get retired and you start playing bowls or golf. This is my escapism. Kind of in the car, you're thinking about racing. That's it, and I love it. You know, it's difficult for me to really perform well, run the event, and do all the other things. I do my best, obviously.
That's always blown me away about you. I mean, here you are, you're racing, but you've got the event that you guys are trying to sort out at the same time. I mean, you must be one of the only guys in the world that can seriously multitask like that.
Yeah, look, I think it's you know, I'll tell you why we do it. Okay, Jim and I have been in a fortunate position where the guys, when we do sell ourselves and our sponsorship packages, we include the events as part of that portfolio. And through time, when sponsorship in 2008 took a massive dive, we took our personal racing sponsorship and we used that to leverage and fund our events for the last, I can tell you, for the last 4 or 5 years. We've actually taken our personal sponsorship and plugged it into the events as well. And that's what kept the series alive, you know. So if we were not to race in the event, we'd lose that partnership. And then we wouldn't have events. So it's a double-edged sword. And people just have never understood that. Like, oh, you shouldn't be racing. Possibly shouldn't be racing. However, it's in our best interest that we do race. Otherwise, we don't have a series.
Exactly.
See, it makes sense because we can offer so much more leverage for these partners of ours through the series.
That's actually, I think what you just said, a lot of people never thought about that. Hey? And didn't know that you guys were backing it.
No, they never ever knew that. But I think we didn't have to explain ourselves to anyone. We were going to drive anyway because we loved it and enjoyed it. If it came to a place where we had to stop driving and there was additional funding from big corporate sponsors, I think it would be a no-brainer. We'd step back, we'd do our demos and our showpieces out on the sideline, and then let the SupaDrift run with a big corporate package aligned to the model of event itself. However, it has never been that way. We've had to leverage our own sponsorship through into the events to make the events happen, and the series to enable the series just to continue.
But now the next part, the question I've got is, so your car, let's get to the fun, the fun part. What have you been doing? I mean, so she's ready to roll, right?
Yeah, the cars, Joe, they've stepped it up again. We had to look at our rule pack this year. We had a big problem in the last 2 years or 3 years. We allowed intermediate tires as part of our program. An intermediate tire is like a semi-slick. And we have a max width of 265 to our rules and regulations. This tire now retails for about 4,000 Rand, 5,000 Rand a tire. You go through 20, 30 tires a week and you work out the sums. It's almost impossible to race. It's impossible to race. So we've had to reset our rules. It's going 2 steps back, kind of in a way, but only so that we can consolidate the drifting and we can bring the competition level up a notch. Because what was happening is those guys who are on intermediate tires would pull away and be a lot faster, and the drift would be a lot more intense in terms of their performance, because their car could take on a semi-slick tire and just outrun everyone else in the competition. So it didn't make tandem drifting such a spectacle. So what we decided to do this year was to go 1 step back. So we'll keep the width of 265 as our max width on our tires. That will produce enough smoke as it would. And then we just said no more semi-slicks or no more intermediate tires. We are going back to road tires. So all our tires are road tires. It makes it a lot more affordable for drivers competing in us, for everyone. It's going to make the tandem drifting more spectacular because the competition is not going to be so widespread. It's going to be a lot closer and consolidated. And we just feel that this is a way forward actually in the long run. And it's also going to make drifting a show-friendly spectator sport. So we've changed the rules a little bit. And in doing that, we've had to change our cars a little bit. So the cars, not from a horsepower point of view, just from how you're going to run with this normal street tires. You're not going to have as much grip. You'll probably be the same speed essentially, but you're not going to have that much grip off the start to get to your initiation. So it's going to slow it down slightly, but it's going to make it more spectacular. So the cars, our car, you said in the background there, is we're running the LS2 motor in there. It's the V8 6-litre Lumina motor. The car's been widened in the front this year, so we widened it up in the front. We've got new kits on the cars. And then, we're running kind of the same setup as we've always run. We've just done a lot of tweaks on our angle kits to bring more angle to the show. And obviously the cooling system of our cars was always compromised because, when you're going sideways, you're not getting the air through the fender onto the motor and cooling it down. So our cooling systems have been upgraded phenomenally in the last 2 years, and specifically our own cars.
Mike, I think we've gone past the time quite a bit,
awesome.
But dude, it's been awesome talking to you. I mean,
you too, Joe.
Dude,
yes, God bless you.
Go spend your time with your kids and your family.
All the best to you and your family. God bless.
Man. Okay,
Cheers, man.
Bye.